The eagle, a heraldic bird, the epitome of the majestic. Whether in Alaska or the Dolomites. Eagles are simply the sovereigns of the air. Alaska, the most northerly of the United States, is famous for its eagles. And yet that bird became the symbol for the whole of the United States. The bald eagle. Nowhere are there as many of these majestic creatures as on the Chilkat River, right in the south of Alaska. The river is bounded by the Takshanook Mountains that also feed it regularly through their many glaciers. In the summer, this river acts like a magnet to attract brown bears. They look as if they're waiting for something. The mother bear and her cubs are afraid of the males. But he is after something completely different. A different member of the group is more fortunate. Salmon are the reason why they have all come to the river, whether they are large or small. Waiting for the fish to arrive, one after another in the breeding grounds, can be a tedious business. The younger generation has found an alternative pastime. But before they're able to catch their own salmon, they'll be a year older. Even experienced bear salmon fishing skills are overshadowed by those of the bald eagles. And even herbivores such as the moose benefit from the salmon in a roundabout way. As many as 4 times in a year, chum salmon migrate up the Chilkat River. After spawning, the fish will die and are then even easier prey for the eagles and bears. Their remains fertilize the soil, which helps the lush vegetation to flourish. Besides the bears and eagles, the Chilkat has other attractions to offer, and they also act as landscape designers. Canadian beavers. They're larger than their European cousins, and there is even discussion about whether or not they are a species in their own right. Thanks to their powerful flat tails and webbed feet, they're perfectly adapted to a life in and around the water. The entrances to their lodges are always underwater to provide protection. The entrances to their lodges are always underwater to provide protection. Kits stay with their parents for 2 years before they set off in search of a home of their own. But the main attraction along the rivers is the bald eagles that also rear their young here. But the main attraction along the rivers is the bald eagles that also rear their young here. With a wingspan of up to 2.5 meters, they're among the most impressive of the eagles. As many as 400 pairs live in Chilkat State Park all year round. And in 2017, 80 iris were counted. The young remain in the eyrie for nearly a quarter of a year. However, by September at the latest, they must leave the nest. Because Alaska's summer is a short one. The northern lights against the clear, starry sky are the harbinger of winter. The countryside will often change abruptly overnight, and temperatures fall to below -20 degrees Celsius. Mist provides a mystic touch over the landscape. An unusual feature, where the temperatures generally cause all water of any kind to freeze. This is equally puzzling. In some places, increasing numbers of eagles are congregating. What do they expect to find here in this snowy wilderness? Oddly enough, the river is not completely frozen over. This is the reason why mist rises above the water, which is now warmer than the surrounding land. And the eagles? They are waiting, just as they did in the summer together with the bears. The bears have started their hibernation phase, otherwise they would surely be here too. The ice sheet has a secret. There are salmon migrating under it. This is the fourth and final salmon migration of the year, and nowhere else does it take place so late in the year. The fish migrate around 40 kilometers upstream as far as the ice-free regions. As if by magic, the river meanders completely free of ice for around 10 kilometers through the surrounding frozen countryside. The answer to the mystery lies in the volcanic activity in the region. Hot springs feed various small tributaries of the Chilkat, sources of life. But not for the salmon. The warm water does mean that they can spawn here. But for them, the Chilkat is the river of death, as it's often referred to. There are thousands of dead fish floating in the water. As is true after every salmon run, the exhausted salmon will die after spawning. However, for this young eagle, the combination of ice-free water and dead fish means only one thing: life. And that does not only apply to him. 3,000 to 4,000 eagles gather along the Chilkat at this time every year, unparalleled anywhere else in the world. The visitors outnumber the permanent residents by 3 to 1. Many come from regions hundreds of kilometers away, and some will even travel 2,000 kilometers from the state of Washington. They are all here because of the salmon, dead or alive. With such an abundance to choose from, they can afford to pick out the finest specimens. Their claws are deadly weapons that hardly anything will escape from. And the mighty beak is an excellent filleting tool. The brown head and dark beak identify this one as a young bird. And the brownish-white spotted underbody means it's at least 2 years old. Nowhere other than by the Chilkat does such a young bird have such a good chance of surviving the winter. Many fledglings elsewhere do not survive their first winter. Eagles do not sport the yellow beak and white head until they are 6 years old. Exhausting flights in search of prey are not required here. The older eagles benefit most. The pecking order is clearly defined. Fledglings give way to their elders. The salmon spawning season is nearing its close. The last survivors are completely exhausted. About 5 to 7 years ago, these salmon hatched here and then swam down the Chilkat into the Pacific. There they grew until it was time for them to tackle the long, tiring journey back to their nursery. Under the ice sheet, they were safe, but here there are eagles everywhere. Salmon that get caught too early are unable to fulfill the object of their travels, spawning, and those that do spawn are still bound to die here. Throughout the entire migration, the fish have gone without food. Their fate is sealed. A fully grown salmon can weigh up to 4 kilos, almost as much as the bald eagle itself. Dragging the fish from the water is a feat of strength, even for North America's second largest bird of prey. Only the condor is larger than the eagle. And there are some cheeky scavengers that are not frightened off at all by the imposing eagles. Wily ravens will always find a suitable moment to hop in and pinch something. Bald eagles are actually more akin to ravens than they may appear at first sight. They too are carrion scavengers, although the bald eagle is also a skilled hunter and fisher. In the winter, though, this activity burns up large amounts of energy. There's hardly any other location where carrion is offered in such abundance at this time of year. These days of gluttony are numbered. The spawning period is over, and the number of salmon depleted. Thus, fierce competition over the last dead fish. A young eagle makes an audacious attack on one of the elder ones, but fails. It's often the raven that benefits from the quarrel. A mere bone is hardly a replacement. Some birds of prey can indeed eat and digest bones, but the bald eagle is not one of them. These winter visitors will soon be leaving the Chilkat. The binge is coming to an end. And yet, come spring, the melting snow and ice will release many a deep frozen fish supper. That will allow the bald eagle to tuck in once again as the most impressive resident of this unique river. That provides it with food and life nearly all year round. Many thousands of kilometers away, there's a mountainous country that can certainly claim to be on a par with the Alaskan Takshunuk Mountains in many respects, a range of mountains in the southeast of the Alps. This is the home of the golden eagle, Europe's largest bird of prey. And of its prey? Marmots. In the Geisler Nature Reserve in South Tyrol, the eagles begin breeding in mid-March, which coincides with the marmots leaving their burrows after several months of hibernation. Soon after they wake up, they begin their mating rituals. After all, they have to make sure their cubs are large enough and strong enough before the next winter begins. They keep a constant lookout. The eagle is their greatest enemy. Marmots make up 60% of its food requirements, but ptarmigan are also on its list of favorites. These are still well camouflaged. To make sure their camouflage continues to work after the snow has melted, they will soon acquire brown plumage. Slow movements to avoid attracting attention. And the watchful eye on the skies help to prolong individual survival. Only the males sport red eyebrows. The females are less obviously colorful. When the eagle is highlighted by the rays of the sun, it's easy to see why it's called the golden eagle. Its eyrie is at an altitude of 2,000 meters in the north-facing wall of the Geisler Group. The female has laid 2 eggs. A typical clutch is from 1 to 3 eggs. While the female broods, the male goes hunting and supplies his mate with food. However, some sightings claim that the partners take it in turn to brood. As they glide on the lookout for prey or carrion, these birds make use of thermal upwinds. The male alpine ibex, which is the other wild goat species in the Alps alongside the chamois, need not fear the eagle. Even the smaller females are too large for that bird of prey. But things will soon be different when the next kids are born. The females tend to live separately from the males, and they only come together in the winter during the mating period. The safest places for the goats that are very sure-footed are the steep slopes, which in the Dolomites are plentiful, where the eagles have great difficulty attacking. 1.5 months later, a single eagle chick hatches. Since the eggs are laid one after the other, they do not all hatch at the same time. The male delivers the prey to the nest for the female and chick, and then returns to the mountains for more. It's the duty of the female to tear the food into bite-sized pieces for the chick. Getting the size right requires practice and a good eye. Not always an easy task.